Any FA Cup winning team has such special memories, but there is something about 1976 because the manner in which a lowly team, in effect, beat one of the great Man United teams of its era. And you were all an extraordinary bunch of characters. Bit by bit, you put that team together, and there's some fantastic stories, fantastic people. And you were captain of this bunch. First, what was it like to captain them all?
Beyond reproach. I mean, to come down here, I think the term scrap heap was used. I was at Sheffield Wednesday and I was discarded there. An older player, younger players coming in, so I needed to be offloaded. And I think, unfortunately, Steve Mills down here got injured in the car crash. And Laurie needed a replacement until he resumed full fitness again. And I duly signed. I was more than happy to sort of extend my career by a year.
And got the captain's armband, and now you looked around this this dressing room, and well, let's start in one corner, number one, and of course Ian Turner. Describe him. What kind of character?
A character, as they all were. A big, enormous lad with the frizzy hair like Eric Martin, you know, the guy he sort of replaced eventually in the Southampton side. Bobby Stokes nicknamed him Bulldog, I think for obvious reasons, you know, but a fantastic lad. He was nice to have around the dressing room, and certainly on the day he helped win us that game.
I mean, it's a basic fact, all goalkeepers have to be completely barking. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, and he had the pretty looks to go with it. so consequently he was prime spot for us. He was a top man.
So where did he come from? What was his sort of pedigree?
He came down. I think he came down from Grimsby, 1972. He played 20 odd games for them. I think he then moved on to, I think it was Walsall for 2 or 3 games, and then, you know, that was when I think Laurie came in for him.
A crucial person, of course, in his career is Laurie McMenemy, because obviously had him once at Grimsby, and obviously liked what he saw there.
Yeah, obviously did, and consequently brought him down here where Eric Martin and Steve Middleton were the main goalkeepers at the time. And Laurie could see something which he was rebuilding a side, and he thought Ian would do just the job for him, which consequently he did, you know, and played for us in the cup final.
As a defender, you know, you're the one closest, you know, just behind you is that goalkeeper. What do they give you? What do you want from a goalkeeper behind you?
A hard time. I played with Shilton many years ago, and you need to be dominated by a goalkeeper because he is the last line of defence. He can see everything on the park that's going on. So to be dictated and dominated by him, although you were captain of the side, made no difference. He's an essential part of it, and he was an essential part of it.
Shame is that the goalkeepers can go on for a long time. Ian didn't or couldn't because of an injury.
Yeah, and then this is often the case. You know, he finished at 26 years of age, I understand.
That's young, isn't it?
That is young for football, and when I started, you know, 10 years was maximum. I played 17, but to finish at so young, and goalkeepers do go on to, as we know now, 35, 40 years of age, it was disappointing to see him sort of finish like he did, yeah, with injury.
Frustrating for any professional, especially, you know, especially when you're not competing for him for the same position.
Exactly, and then to sort of win that FA Cup final, you think, well, things are going to happen at 23, 24, and they don't, and it must be so disappointing, you know, for players like Ian Turner to sort of do that.
Where did he go? Because he didn't want to give up the game, did he?
No, I think he went out to Fort Lauderdale and played a little while over there, you know, which the American scene was up and coming at that time, and I think he came back and potted around with Walsall for a little while, and then decided to retire through the injury at the end of the day. And
what's he doing now?
Last time I saw him was last Christmas, in fact, and he's working on the oil rigs. He works down at Esso in Hampshire there, does the shutdowns as they call them. He has a group of 8 or 9 lads with him. And then I also spoke to him again, and he said he's now travelling Far East, doing a similar job. So I guess he's happy in what he's doing.
Ian Turner, great lad.
Fabulous.
Right, David Peach, a fellow fullback. Character, explain him.
Character, left peg, which he thought was the best in the country at the time, which it possibly was, in all fairness. Rugged sort of fullback, could attack down the line, defend ever so well. Little gap in his tooth. Ozzy used to take the mickey out of him, call, hey, all right, Sean, and that's all. That was a little banter going around the dressing room. But a character again in his own right, and a nice person to, you know, be with and play with.
Well, that left peg earned you the place in the final, didn't he? Because he converted the penalty in the semi.
Prolific penalty taker. Prior to me getting there, I sort of found out all these little bits of information, and yes, he certainly slotted that one in for us on the day, which sort of set us on the road to Wembley. So thanks to Peachy.
There's got to be something about you. If anyone wants to step up and take a penalty, do they like the limelight? They're obviously not fussed about any of the pressure, are they?
No, they're not fussed, and Dave has a good temperament, regards penalties. Like you say, you need to sort of have that aptitude and that mentality to go up and take it in front of 40, 50,000 in the semi-final on that particular day.
Sure.
And with every confidence, he stroked the ball well, and off we went, 1-0 to start with.
He was Laurie's first signing.
£50,000.
Well, they're only 50,000 a week now, aren't they?
Yeah, I wished I was playing now, I really do. But I was happy then. But no, he signed David from Gillingham, I think it was, and brought him back down to Southampton. There were a couple of full-backs, Bob McCarthy, Joe Kirkup.
That was back in January 1974 when he came. But he wasn't only a left-back. They sort of shifted him up and down the left side, didn't they, when needed? Yeah,
they did. He was left-back, then they slotted him into midfield, and then they moved him. He could play wide on the left. So he's a very versatile player, David Peach. He could play anywhere on the left-hand side, basically. And if I can just tell a brief story here, I was at Sheffield Wednesday prior to signing for Southampton, and David Peach was left-back, and our other player, Jimmy Stewart, was in midfield. And I'd heard that Laurie was interested in me, but we came down, and Laurie was having a bad time. I think he'd just taken him down from the First Division at that point. So I can remember Laurie being booed from the tunnel to the changing rooms and et cetera, half-time, full-time. And we beat them 1-0, basically. And I can remember Jimmy Steele lying in the mud, just splashing around like an idiot. I rephrase that, Jim. Wonderful person that he is. And our little right winger destroying David Peach beyond reproach. And I thought, there's no way on earth that I will sign for Southampton. I sat on the bus afterwards, seeing how Steely was larking about like nothing. Laurie's being booed, and David Peach was being run ragged by this little winger that we had. Sat on the bus with the lads. I said, I wouldn't sign for them if they're the last club in the world. I signed in July, and I'm glad I did.
and where did he go from there? What about sort of after that?
During his playing career, he had a little fish shop, or fresh fish shop, down in Lymington in Hampshire, and he used to share that with his partner. You could tell he worked in that particular job because he used to stink when he came in the morning. So he had to have a shower before he actually sort of got training. So he had that to start with, and then when he finished his career at Southampton, he went into the building trade with Linden Homes and Barrett Homes, I think. And now I think he's settled down to a little builder that does executive homes in Hampshire, and I think he's more than happy, and it's always nice to see the guys.
Hang on, so get this right. As a player, he had his chippy, and he used to come and I hope you got some decent fish out of it.
I never did, but Ozzy used to go down and get the turkeys and the fish from him, so the lad used to use him.
Now, obviously when it comes to the FA Cup final, he was in a very, very crucial place at a very crucial time, wasn't he?
Certainly was. Coppell was the England flyer at the time, and I can remember the ITV interviews that were on at the time, and I can remember the two guys that were being given the interviews and having a chat amongst themselves. The two fullbacks are going to be destroyed by the two Manchester United wingers. Mine was Gordon Hill, obviously, and Steve Coppell, and boy did David Peach and Nick Holmes do a good job on him. Stopped him playing, which is all integral part of the team, that we've all got a job to do, and we all did it in a superb way. And David on Coppell, not a problem.
And with the seconds ticking away, what happened?
It transpired that he was the last person to touch the FA Cup final ball, because Peachy looked at Clive Thomas and said, how long to go? He said, pick up the ball. He said, that's it. So Peachy picked the ball up, he blew the whistle, and that was the end of the game. I didn't see that, because when the whistle went, I just jumped up and touched my knees, and I was shaking like a leaf. So I didn't see who touched the ball last. I understand it was Dave Peach.
I mean, the actual words allegedly were, give me the ball, congratulations, you've just won the cup.
Yes, and how I wished I'd been there. It took about a split second to get across to me, but that must have been a fabulous feeling. And yeah, Dave was the last one to touch the...
Clive Thomas has humour. I'm shocked.
I am shocked as well, because he always used to book me.
Centre halves stand there where it's all happening all around them, and one of them was Mel Blythe. Again, another character.
In his own right, and they are in their own right. And to be put together as a team is like, Laurie did a great job, I think, in my opinion. Quality player, good defender, could control the ball and bring the ball forward and what have you. And good to have in the side because he stood no messing and took no messing from anybody, straight down the line.
And he has to work very well with his fellow centre half, Jim Steele. So what were they like? Because they're very different characters.
Totally different. The gel was superb as far as I was concerned, to have those two different types of players, a right-footed player and a left-footed player like Jimmy Steele, again, who was a character unto himself. But as a unit, they just knew what was going down between them, and the full-backs just moved around from that. And they
because you only have a split second to get it right in that position.
Oh, absolutely.
And two of you have got to work in tandem there.
And they were, and they did, and that was a good partnership. Once it finally got together, Paul Bennett, who I think was in that sort of combination at the time, stayed in the squad, within the squad, but unfortunately once those two latched on together, they were absolutely superb as a couple, of centre halves.
So what did you notice? What did you see about them that was different? You thought, wow, they've really got something there.
Fiery, ability, with the left and right foot respectively. And I think they respected each other, which I think is a great thing to have with a combination like that. And like I've always said, that the whole cup final squad were good friends, and that stands you in good stead no matter what you do in life.
You said there that Laurie put together a tremendous team on the basis of skill and also character. But it wasn't just that they turned up. He grafted those. He found those players. He's another signing. So he knew what he was looking for. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, Laurie was a good man manager primarily, and he could draw in exactly what he wanted. Then you had to place them and put them in their respective orders and make that sort of team gel, if you like. And Mel was there. Played out over 100 games for Southampton. He moved on to Crystal Palace a little bit later on after that, and then he went out to South Africa to play, where he then sort of finished out there and came back, I think it was to Margate.
But you see, like you all, you can't keep away from the place. He's back there. What he did a bit of quasi-management, didn't he, with Southampton as the shirt?
Yeah, he came back to Southampton and he coached the over 35s. I was out of the country at the time, but in this competition they had, and the older lads love that sort of thing, to go back and you obviously keep yourself a little bit fit. And Mel was manager of that side, the little group of players that he had. And I know he must have had a great response from those guys, because they enjoy that sort of thing, coming back to those little competitions. All over 35, all grey, all thin. Love it.
You boys can't keep away, though. There's something special about this place, isn't there?
There is. I think there's an attraction here, and the people and the countryside, and plus the camaraderie that we had between us, or still have between us, that we like to meet up and catch up with each other as often as we can.
After his playing days, what's he done since?
He went up to London, and he was married, and I think he had a couple of children, I'm not sure. Turned his hand, he was an electrician at the outset, so he sort of had a little dabble in that. He did a lot of coaching up there for kids, youngsters. A little bit of building trade, and I think he's doing okay now. He's settled up in London with this little building trade thing, plus the coaching. Although his legs are starting to get a little bit weary now, so that might have to come to an end.
We've talked in detail about one part of the centre-half combination, but there has to be two, and the second one, there's only one Jim Steele.
And I'm glad he was there, believe me. He was an integral part of the side, fabulous character. I enjoyed a few drinks with him when I first arrived in Southampton. I went into the licensed trade eventually. People ask why. I said I used to knock about with Osgood, McCalliog, Jimmy Steele. So they took me around to all the pubs in Southampton. It cost me a fortune. I didn't realise I was a young lad coming through, and they made me buy all the drinks, which, it's fine. But I learned a lot from those guys I've mentioned. Wonderful characters.
What on earth was he like in the dressing room?
Noisy, bubbly, the sort of person you needed in a dressing room. It was never quiet when he was around. Just a wonderful character.
Because especially when, if it's getting down or things are quiet, not going quite your way, Needs to be someone who needs to step up there.
He'll say something totally outrageous, which will set the whole dressing room alight, and then he'll sit in the corner and be quiet whilst everybody else sort of got on with it. So he was the main man, one of the main men in the dressing room.
Came from Scotland, of course. Bought from Dundee.
Yes, I think Ted Bates purchased him. That was a good purchase. I think it was £80,000 at the time, and he was Mr. Versatile. Basically, he occupied a lot of positions, on the left-hand side, but mainly at the back, where he was, solid as a rock.
He didn't need any encouragement after you won the FA Cup final, did he?
No. There was a little time, I think, with reference to the Peter Osgood scenario. I think we went down to I think it was a Tiberius club, and the FA Cup was there, followed us around wherever we went, and all the lads were there having a good time. I think Ozzy, the story I tell anyway, Ozzy came up and said, Pedro, he said, I want the FA Cup. I said, you've got no chance. He said, I'll bet you a bottle of champagne, I'll take it home. And we had a little chat, and like I say, the story I tell is that we got the FA Cup to be taken outside with a photograph, and the security guy was like, that's okay, no problem, you just wait there, no problem. Managed to get outside, Ozzy, gone like a shot, cup and all, went back in. Nobody seemed to notice what was going on, and all of a sudden somebody said, well, where's the FA Cup? I don't know. I brought it back in just now, and it's somewhere, and everybody went crazy. I didn't know then at that point what had happened to it. Transpired, I think it was maybe 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, wherever time it was, and the little hamburger stalls that used to be in the centre of Southampton at the time were all there, parked up, people coming out of the nightclubs and what have you, and Ozzy pulls up, and I think Jimmy Steele was with him as well, and they pulled up. Hi Ozzy, hi Pete, Steely, how you doing? Oh, fine. Oh, great FA Cup, and that. Oh, where's the FA Cup? In the boot. And they all looked and laughed, and Ozzy proceeded then to open the boot. Put the FA Cup on this bar at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and these lads' eyes just couldn't believe it. Pouring cups of tea in there, and everybody drinking from it, and everybody having a fabulous time. And Ozzy then proceeded to go home and plonk this FA Cup down on the sideboard and just look at it and say, well, that's ours, or mine for tonight.
You're captain, you're supposed to be in charge of this lot. What kind of a job were you doing?
I thought a brilliant job, because it's a story I love to tell, and I will continue to tell it as long as I live.
You couldn't have cared less after you won it.
It was, and Ozzy did return it in all fairness. Yeah. Quickly ran upstairs, plunked it outside the gaffer's room, and ran away. I think you got fined £100 for it, but it's well worth it.
Yeah. Now, of course, Jim played with such distinction over here, but also made quite a name for himself in America.
Yeah, I think he was quite a strong player out in America. I don't know too much about his history out there, but I think it was Pittsburgh and Memphis I think he played for.
And what kind of other players would have been out there at the time?
Pele, Beckenbauer's. It was just starting to come through. Georgie Best. There were some good players coming towards the end of not end of their careers necessarily, but there was a lot of money going on out there, and they were drawn by that. Plus the rapport that the Americans have, and the bright lights, the glitzy bits. So I think that would suit Jimmy Steele down to the ground, I would have thought. And he was out there 12, 13 years. And then when he finished playing out there, I think he had an electrical side to him like Mel Blythe. And he got a little job doing the underground cables there, had a bunch of guys who he worked with him or whatever.
Much is made of striking partnerships, but the centre halves have to be absolutely close-knit, don't they?
They do, and you have to have almost chalk and cheese, if you like. You can't have two big bruisers, two big bullies, two good headers of the ball in that sense. You have to have a dominant one and one that plays alongside. And there's lots of combinations over the years, going back as far as sort of Jackie Charlton and Norman Hunter, Bruce and Pallister. Yeah, Man United. And they're different types of players. And you have to have this balance, and the manager has to recognise that. And he has to get that balance right for the team to sort of do well, because they are at the centre of the defence, and everything sort of is pivotal to that. Being a defender, you would discuss that in that particular way. So that had to be right. And it doesn't, you have to have the balance, and opposites almost. And I suppose, to a lesser degree, Blythe and Steele were opposites in lots of ways. They were a good combination, and I wished we'd been in the First Division, because they would have been superb.
all teams need someone who can just really do something with the ball, and you had a number of those in that side, and Jim McCalliog's in there. Just very comfortable, wasn't he, on the ball?
Quality player. Couldn't fuss the guy, couldn't rile the guy, just played in his own way, on and off the park, just wandered around the town like Jim McCalliog did. Very quiet sort of guy, but on the park, could thread a ball through the eye of a needle, as they say, and a quality player to have in our side at the time.
I mean, some big characters, big noise, but he's such an unassuming chap.
Extremely, and I came down to Southampton, had a few drinks, but I understand Jimmy went through most of his career not having a drink for his football reasons, I think, you know, and in '66, I think he played for Sheffield Wednesday. He scored a goal there. Unfortunately, they lost 3-2. But he was a good passer of the ball and a good reader of the game.
You don't have to sort of be big and brassy to be very self-confident, because anyone who plays at that level obviously has to be, and to just be so measured. You know, that's a skill in itself.
Skill itself, and he was totally that. Exactly what you said. Measured in everything he did. And like I say, no fuss, no noise, got on with the job, knew what he was doing, knew how to do it, which is first and foremost. Like I say, on and off the park, he knew exactly what he's doing.
You talked there about, there he was, just found him with the ball, but that doesn't just happen. That is hours and hours of work on a training field to get that right.
I like to say yes. I'm only joking here. Our training sessions consist of 3 and in.
Yeah.
We had a wonderful coach, Jim Clooney, and we used to go out training. No, I'm only joking now. We used to go out training, and what are we doing today, Jim? You know, 3 and in, you know, and that was out. No, but we did, seriously. We did work out on various things with everybody in the squad, and Stokesy, once he got in the side, had an aptitude for it. And with McCalliog there to sort of slot balls through, and Peter Osgood there to sort of knock things down for Stokesy and one thing and another. It was a good combination all round, and then it was worked on in training sessions.
Was that something that you saw as a weakness in that Man United side, something you could exploit?
It was, and the pace of Stokesy, and you knew once he was on the end of it, you knew there was a fair chance it was going to be on target, because, in my opinion, Stokesy was one of the best strikers of the football at Southampton Football Club at the time. And once you could see that position set up, you knew that was on target, and I thought he struck it fairly well myself personally, and I think Jack Charlton said that's the only shot that could have beaten Stepney. Thank goodness. In
that FA Cup final, it was his vision, his ideas that opened up Man United.
Total vision. 4 touches from the goalkeeper. Came to Jim McCalliog, and they used to work well with the strikers, you know, Ozzy and Stokesy. They used to work well as a combination, and McCalliog knew exactly where Stokesy was, slotted the ball through first time. I watched the video. I don't think, hand on my heart, it was offside. You can't see Buchan coming forward, and I know it's just the human eye that sort of detects that from a linesman's point of view, but the defender was coming out and the ball was going that way, and there was just a cross of people, ball and players, and to everybody it might have looked offside. I'd put a hand on my heart, I don't think it was offside, and I really mean that. But having spoken to Clive Thomas 7 or 8 years later, he thought it was offside. And he looked immediately at the linesman, and the linesman had his flag down. So, as far as I'm concerned, here's the medal. Have a look in the history books. Thank you.
In terms of his international career, got the breaks with Scotland, didn't? You know, what happened there?
He got 5 caps, I think, which was unfortunate because at the time, I think Billy Bremley, Jim Baxter's, again, quality players. You know, he had a tough side to try and get into, and it was unfortunate because I think international level matures you even more. Jim was totally mature, but to get maybe 40, 50 games for your country really would have made him a world-class player, possibly. You know, he had that ability, I felt, you know.
Wow, that's high praise.
He deserves it.
Jim's another one who's found his way to America because it was a heady time, wasn't it, out there?
It was, yeah, and Jim went along there. I was invited to go out there. I chose not to go for whatever reasons, but Jim had a reasonable time out there. I think he came back in 1990 and he managed Halifax Town for a brief period. And then he went off up to, I think it was Wetherby in Yorkshire, and he has a little bar, restaurant, hotel sort of place up there now, which again all the lads have been invited up to, and we see them, see each other on the rare occasion now, which is sad. It'd be nice to go up and see and visit Jimmy and see how things are getting on, and he's not changed at all over the years.
Still calm, still collected.
Still calm, collected. Likes a drink now.
We've talked about Laurie piecing together this side, and another part of that jigsaw, as it transpired, was Paul Gilchrist.
Yeah, he played at Doncaster briefly with Laurie, and for a short period until Laurie moved from there. And then he eventually, again saw something in the guy. A lot of people came from Doncaster and Grimsby and around that area, but he could see something in Gilly, which he felt he needed at Southampton, and duly signed him.
All these managers keep some sort of encyclopedic sort of knowledge of people they've seen and what they just tuck it away, don't they, for future reference?
Yeah, they have a vision of a side, and they look at the side that they have when they get to a club. I think in Laurie's case, he somewhat disbanded the club and wanted to rebuild it his way, if you like. And he signed Peter Osgood and a few other players, and he could see this thing gelling into whatever he felt was to be correct. Hence then Ian Turner, Gilchrist, myself, latter stage. He could see something there that he wanted to happen.
So what did he bring to the team?
Laurie?
No, Paul Gilchrist.
Paul Gilchrist, from my point of view, great to have in front of me. I had Gordon Hill to sort of mark on the day. A handful, given his day, and it wasn't until 10, 15 years later, started having a radio interview with Gilly, and I turned to him and said, thank you for what you helped me do on the day, which was mark Gordon Hill out the game, because with his help and his general chit-chat around me, he was there for me, if you like. If it had been one-on-one, might have been different, I don't know, but the point I'm saying, Gilly was good to have in the side, got on with the job, quiet person generally around the club, and good to have there on the day from my point of view.
General chit-chat, what's he saying to you? What's he in your ear saying?
Instructions. If you're confronting your winger, then I'm here, push him to the left, push him to the right, general instructions. And vice versa, if he got to Hill first, then I would instruct him and talk to him, saying, okay, Gilly, this way, I'm here. Just general football instructions, which it's common knowledge within the game, it is normal.
Big part in the semi-final.
Big part, yeah. Again, we were all playing the way we were. Peachy, I think, knocked the first goal in. I think Ozzy got involved. I think I'm not quite sure. I'm trying to get a picture of it here. Ozzy got involved with the goal itself. I think the ball went up to Ozzy. I think he knocked it down for Gilly, who just strode on and whacked it in the back of the net, which then obviously made it the 2-0 result which we had. And Gilly was then integral part of that victory, as well as the rest of the guys that were there.
Semi-finals can be very harsh games. The cost of losing there is, awful losing in a final, I know, but you did get your big occasion, you did get the star turn, and you don't at the semi-final, so it must be a difficult game to play.
It is a difficult game because the tension is on, the pressure is on. I think we were expected to win possibly, and with the likes of Malcolm Allison, who was the opposition manager, walking around with his big fedora, big cigar and one thing and another, so in 4-0 to the cameras, we didn't see this obviously because we were sort of game on, we were sort of in the dressing room preparing for the game. So all this sort of pressure was building up, and I'm sure he went in to discuss things with his players. You can beat this lot, and Laurie came in and said the same for us. We can beat this lot. I think they were a third division side at the time, so we were favourites. But it is a tense riddle sort of 90 minutes, if you like. And we overcame all that with the experience and the little bit of youth in the side to come through and be 2-0 victories, which I played in 2 semi-finals, touch wood, never lost one, so it's a nice little record.
They had Peter Taylor in the side. He didn't last long, did he? Someone got to him quite quickly, didn't they?
Believe me, yeah. He was the danger man. He was playing for England at the time. And I think they showed it 2 or 3 times in slow motion where I cleared the ball and he came across and I just clipped his knee.
Oh, yeah.
If he'd had the ball and I clipped his knee, then you can have a go at me. But genuine, I cleared the ball and I caught his knee and he was eventually taken off. I was extremely pleased. And I thought I can get on with the game now without worrying about him. And not saying that won us the game by any stretch, but he was a danger man who could have floated around any part of the field, and done a lot of damage. He was a good player at the time, good left foot. But it was unfortunate. I'll rephrase that. You know, it was an accident.
So talking about that pressure and the release of it, because when Gilchrist goes in, now what do you feel like?
You're still not there, you know, the final whistle has to go, you know,
Sure.
but you know now you've got a 2-0 lead and stability has got to be the thing, because normally after a goal, in my opinion, you're vulnerable for that moment in time, and you see the goals in the papers, you know, goal after 72 minutes for one team and a goal after 73 minutes for the opposition. So, and it's quite common, and we didn't want that to happen. So we got this 2-0 lead, so we had to stabilise and consolidate at the back, which we did, throughout the team, I hasten to add, not just the back. Everybody else had to do their work to sort of make that happen. But we consolidated for a few more minutes, and that then settled us down, and then you might notice a team become deflated because they're 2-0 down as time's running out, they're not really in the game, and we were then becoming slightly more dominant, and I think we won well in the end.
So about his future career, what's this other team he played for? Oh.
Which other team?
Oh, this Gilchrist chap, he played for some other team. Called, with a P?
Oh, right, excuse me, yeah. He was there for a short space of time.
Portsmouth we're talking about.
Yes, you've got it, yeah.
Go on, you can say it. Say it for me.
I'll say it for you. Anything comes out of Southampton is not welcome in Portsmouth. And I mean that, you know, tongue in cheek, if you like. But he went down to Portsmouth and he played there for a season. The general manager bought him without the manager's knowledge. I understand then the manager went out and bought somebody quickly within a month or two and put him in the side. And I think Gilly had a good track record down there, basically 6 goals in 10 games. And he had to leave because he was from Southampton. It's rivalry between the two sides and the two cities, and unfortunately he went the wrong way down to Pompey.
Oh no, some people have done all right doing that. But you know, in terms of where he went then and what he's doing now,
he's in, I can't think what part of the country he's in, but he's working for BMW car company. I think he's a supervisor for the mechanics and what have you. Still, I didn't recognise him the other day. We had a little meeting or gathering of the ex-players, and he used to have the frizzy hair like Ian Turner, and that was the style at the time. I unfortunately haven't changed, got thinner if anything. So I came into this hotel and I saw Hughie Fisher, who I recognised instantly. I thought, who's that standing with him? It was the back, I hasten to add, and it was Paul Gilchrist. He'd had all his hair cropped off. Just briefly, I didn't recognise him because he had this little frizzy hairstyle in those days, and he was again one of the quiet men of the side who just got on with the job. Good to have around.
Southampton seem to specialise in very loyal players. I mean, there've been a few. You know, we've got Letitia, Bates, Shannon, came, went, did everything else. But in there as well is Nick Holmes. I mean, very quiet, a true Mr. Versatile. I mean, he would do anything for Southampton Football Club, wouldn't he?
He would, and he did.
Yeah.
Wonderful person and personality. Very, very quiet sort of lad throughout the club, generally. One of the workhorses, obviously a younger lad, but I can recall when I first arrived at the club and various players were there, and I had to sort of get used to their names and one thing and another. And we were out on a long distance run, which I wasn't very good at. I was always started off at the front, but quickly sort of dodged to the back.
Led from the back. Yeah,
led from the back, as you make sure the skipper pushes everybody on,
Yeah, quite right.
as you do.
Yeah, quite.
And I heard this noise coming alongside me. And I couldn't believe what I saw next. It was Nick Holmes, one of the youngest, fittest men that you got at this club.
Yeah.
And he was just wheezing away like an old timer. I mean, I sounded very similar to him at the time, but this is the sort of person he was. He would work and die for the team, presented himself around the club impeccably, good ambassador for the club and for himself. And again, good to have on Peachy's side on the day with Coppell. I'm sure they would discuss it with them, and they were a great help to each other. But live and die for Southampton, Nick Holmes.
I mean, here is a young lad. I mean, as a schoolboy, he was on the terraces. He was brought up on Southampton Football Club. So did you see that when he came into the side? Because in a way, he could have been in awe of everyone else, couldn't he? Because these were the people he really did look up to.
He could have been in awe, but he'd been at the club so long, with Terry Payne and already introduced to Mick Shannon and
Sure.
plus Ozzy and all the experienced players that were there long before I arrived at the club, he would have had a good grounding. And in a dressing room, you can get a good grounding from the likes of Shannon, Osgood, Steele, and moving back to the older players, Payne, Sydenham. You get a good grounding. The mickey's taken out of you. You either stand up tall or you just fold and you don't make the grade, basically. Yeah. I'm sure it's not as bad as that, but there's a lot of mickey taken going on within the club. And like you say, to come off the terraces like that, join the club that you've always idolised, if you like, and seen all these fabulous players, and you're in the dressing room there with them, that is something special for, I'm sure, Nick in particular, where he's seen them all. And then to reach the climax of getting to a cup final and winning it must have been a dream come true. He still had a lot more involvement in the club after that. But
well, only 21 at the time when he won.
21 at the time, you don't realise. He had a beard at the time, and I think he looked about 92. Yeah. But he ran like a 21-year-old, believe me.
So Laurie is famous for his team sort of meeting with you all and explaining how you were all more experienced than all that Man United team. What did he do when he got to Nick, though?
It wasn't so much we were more experienced. We had, and Laurie said it, you have a good gel here, lads. You had the experience. McCalliog, Rodrigues, Shannon, Jim McCalliog, these sort of people who'd played at Wembley before and played for their countries before. So we had a lot of experience. And then he threw in the David Peaches and the Nick Holmes and the Bobby Stokes, Paul Gilchrist, who were younger men. And Laurie could see it. There was a fine balance there. And I think on the day, and I really do believe it, that won the day for us, the good blend of youth and older players.
Big cup ties. It wasn't only exclusively 1976 for Nick Holmes. He had a few with Southampton, didn't he?
He did, yeah. I think he wanted back in '79 in the League Cup final, I think, as it was then, probably. I was there as a spectator, and I sat in the stand and watched the lads, and I extremely unlucky, not to sort of pull it off, but Forest were a good side at the time, and I think Nicky scored a good goal, as I recall. Left peg, they lost 3-2 anyway. I think Peach and Holmes scored the goals. And I sat and watched it, and I was extremely disappointed, sat in the stand watching these lads come off without anything, but that was another opportunity for Nick. He got promotion with the club eventually and got relegated, so you get the highs and lows of football, which is normal, natural. But he's had his good times with Southampton, and I'm sure he's walked away now, but he'll have fond memories of that club.
And 2 other FA Cup semi-finals as well. 2
semi-finals as well, which is absolutely wonderful. Again, I was at one of the losing, both in fact, and that is heart-wrenching for me, having played in a semi and won with the club. I didn't really know how those guys felt, but I could only imagine how they felt, and I was in tears. For the guys. It was a sad day for the club not to sort of reach the final again, and I was desperate for them.
Nick really did make a life out of going to America. The others sort of flirted with it, came back, did it for the football. But Nick's really he put down roots there, didn't he?
He did, yeah. I think his children went out there, went to the various colleges, universities, as they do over there, and it's a good education especially if you're interested in sport, which his children are and still are, I understand. And they were doing extremely well at, I think, squash was one particular sport, and the American football, which the other lad was doing quite well at. And consequently, Nick went over there to support them and change his lifestyle from the little store he had up in, locally in Hampshire, to sort of go out there and uproots was a brave thing to do. And he did it, and I think he still enjoys it out there.
But you see, it's always in your blood. I mean, we've talked about many of the players already who've dabbled with a bit of football management, coaching, all the rest of it. And Nick Holmes is just like all the rest. He got a call from, sort of unexpected area of the country.
He did. He came back.
To his hometown, of course.
To his hometown, yeah, in Hampshire. So it's a local side, and they invited him to come and train them and coach them and what have you. I am amazed, because this is the quietest person on 2 legs I've ever seen. So for him to give a team meeting, I'm sure he wrote it down on a piece of paper and gave it to the assistant coach and said, "Read that out." No, seriously, I've spoken to him and he's thriving on it. He loves it. I think he's in for a second season at this local club. So I'm sure he can express all his experience to these players, and because of his attitude and the person that he is, he will get, not demand, he will get respect from these local people, and I think they're off to a good start again this season. So I wish Nick and the local side all the very best, and certainly Nick in particular.
Here's a name to conjure with, Peter Osgood. Go on, you start somewhere, because there's so many places to get into the character of Peter Osgood.
Name to conjure with. Conjure is the exact word. I think he could do anything with a ball that you chose to do. You know, a wonderful player, wonderful personality. As I said, I keep saying all the lads in the side were. Peter Osgood, unto himself, biggest Mickey taker you're ever going to get. He thrives on it. I can respond to it. All the players respond to it. So this hence is the good rapport, the friendliness within the club, that Ozzy could take, you know, any amount of stick, but also dish it out big time. So I love being around Ozzy, Peter Osgood. Always has been a wonderful player as far as I'm concerned, even in the early days when he was at Chelsea. But at Southampton, he's a wonderful character to have in the dressing room, certainly on the park, because the things that he could do with the ball were, even later on in his football career, was superb. He could turn it on if and when he chose. He was a big crowd player, if you like. A big crowd for him, and he'd turn it on. And he has the arrogance and the joie de vivre, if you like. But point being, he's down to earth, and a lovely person to have. And I enjoy his company very much.
I mean, for any professional player to have one great spell and one period at one club is great, and you take it. But Osgood did have two of them, one as Mr. Chelsea and one as Mr. Southampton. And so just what was it about those Chelsea days? I mean, you're looking at him, you've had to play against him. Just how big was he? What kind of a player was he?
He was massive. I mean, not in stature, but in ability. You know, and the side they had at the time, they were so youthful and they were so energetic. They again, I'm sure they would live and die for each other, but you could tell that the way they were playing. And then Ozzy was a legend at Chelsea, always will be, forever and a day. And I can remember him telling me a little story one day that when Hullet became manager of the side, but Hullet never had a lot of time for Ozzy, which you can see clash of personalities, maybe understandable, which I think is silly, but that's beside the point. And then I think Vialli came into the side and what have you, and Hullet left, and I think Vialli became manager of Chelsea then. And Ozzy said, I couldn't believe it one day. Vialli walked towards me. He said, Peter, you are the legend. And he said Hullet never had the time of day for Peter Osgood, but Vialli came to him and said, Peter, pleased to meet you. You are the legend of... And Ozzy was so pleased and chuffed with that statement that made his day, you know, made his day.
In terms of his England career, he only got 4 caps, but he surely should have had a lot more.
He would. Well, he should have done, I suppose. But again, if you hit the wrong period of time with players and the different managers, one manager sees one thing, another manager sees something totally different. Yes, you'd have Ozzy in the side, you'd have Matt Letizia in the side and various Southampton players in the side, but with a manager of whoever, you didn't see that, then you wouldn't get the games. You know, same as Jim McCallio didn't get the games. But Ozzy deserved a lot more than he did because his ability was, at the time, second to none.
And his impact, not particularly as in terms of the skills or whatever he did in the game, but in terms of around the period of that, you know, the weeks building up to that FA Cup final.
Mainstay.
Yeah.
He's always there in or around something that's going on, and it's generally fun and you know, but serious, big time. You know, we had a week away before the cup final, and we were just relaxed playing five-a-sides and game of golf. But he was always there in everything. So that was nice to have. And the younger lad, I'm a fairly quiet person in that respect. The younger players were quiet, but he would be there, geeing everybody up and drawing you out and making you feel relaxed. And he was good to have, and he was always in the forefront of whatever was going on.
You talk about the spirit that man has, and he has used it to good use, hasn't he? In terms of, after his footballing days are over.
Yeah, after his playing days, we all wonder what career we're going to take or move on to, or what have you. And I think Ozzy's chosen it very, very and extremely well. One is his after dinner speaking, which he has 1,000,001 stories, like we all do basically, but he can put it over in such a way that make you laugh, make you cry, and keep you entertained for an hour or so. And he's involved with the local golf club where him and his wife Lynn organise golf trips and one thing and another for various people. And also I think that the one thing that I think he does enjoy most, he enjoys everything he does in life, but one of the things that he is enjoying at the moment is down at the new St Mary's Stadium in Southampton, where they have a new stadium now, which is absolutely fabulous. I've been there on many occasions. And he is around the ground in the corporate suites and talking to people at the dinner table, having lunch with them, going up on the stage before the match, half time, at the end of the match, and that is Ozzy's forte. He's broken away from Chelsea now, and he's down at Southampton. I'm sure if you ask him, he enjoys that as much as anything else, because that is a buzz. And I've been out in Spain for a little while now, moving back and forth and popping in to say hi to everybody. And when I go there, I'm always invited up on the stage with Ozzy, and it's wonderful to see him performing as he did at football superbly well.
This 76 team is famous for its reunions, and one person can't be there, Bobby Stokes.
Yeah, that's sad. Wonderful person, gentleman beyond reproach. Would walk across a crowded room and say, "Hi Pete, hi Ozzy, how you doing?" And that's the sort of person and personality he was. One of the quiet lads, but he could have a laugh and joke like anybody else, basically in the side. And Peter Osgood used to take him under his wing and look after him as like a father figure, and I remember Ozzy going to the various sort of his after dinner speaking and one thing and another, and he'd take Stokesy along and sit him down in the corner, and it was lovely to see, so like almost like a father-son relationship those two had. It was wonderful, but a lovely person.
What kind of shock was it when you knew he died?
Devastated. Cannot believe it even to this day that he was part of something that happened for us in Southampton, and obviously he scored the goal. But as a person, and devastated.
But there again, his name will live on and on and on because of that goal. And it wasn't any old goal, was it?
No, it wasn't any old goal. It was the most important. Like I said before, he's one of the best strikers of a ball in the football club. And just going along when I first moved there, he used to sort of, Mick Shannon used to have the horses and one thing, I was just talking about Mick briefly, and they used to come in, the pair of them, stinking of this horse manure. And Stokes used to muck out for him in the mornings with the old wheelbarrow and one thing and another. They used to come into training again, sort of like Peachy, just kind of a shower before they started training.
Let's go through that goal, because technically, how difficult was it? What happened there and how he took that goal? Very
difficult, because it was a clean ball from McCalliog, knocked it straight through, which is quick. And Stokesy was off the mark. He had to be off the mark because he was caught between two defenders. Not caught, he slotted in between two defenders. And he was off and running. And to go in stride and strike a ball like he did, it takes a lot of skill. And he was on the edge of the box when he struck it, and I've got that picture indoors now. He struck it extremely well. And I can remember him turning, and I was 40 metres away. And I, like a bat out of hell, I was after him. And again, I have lots of these little pictures, and there's 10 of us all on top of Bobby Stokes. 9, Ozzy was still getting there by the time I'd run 40 yards, Ozzy'd run 10 yards. I still got there before Ozzy, and Ozzy was in the background, really sort of excited by the goal. But there were 10 of us there, all draped around Bobby Stokes. And then obviously the game carried on, and we had to sort of fight through the next 10, 11 minutes, whatever it was, to secure that victory. And then we went up and collect the cup, and I didn't want to let go for a long period of time. Eventually let it go, and Stokesy got it, and everybody milled around him, obviously, for obvious reasons. And he was excited. Bobby Stokes was excited.
When you had just a quiet little moment as captain, what were the first words you said to him? When you just had a special time, when you and him, what did you want to say to him? That
was probably in the bath afterwards, The cup was there with us, and you just look and you hug and, thanks, Bob. That's. He didn't want the accolades. He wasn't that sort of person. He didn't want the fame, the fortune that went along with that, which was unfortunate.
Is that possibly why? You know, that this career should have gone on and on and on, and it didn't.
It didn't, no, because I'm not saying he couldn't handle it, but it came to him very quickly. He was a regular player at Southampton, got into the side on a cup run, and he was doing extremely well in the cup run, and obviously he scored the winning goal, which should have sent anybody sky high, and like, you know, oh right, this is me for the future. At my age, that was the end for me, but for him it should have moved on, and I think he'd won a car for getting the goal, and it was parked on the Dell pitch at the time, a Granada Gear I think it was, worth a lot of money. Couldn't drive. That's how inobtrusive Bobby Stokes was. Couldn't drive, wasn't really fussed, don't mind catching the train up to training. And he was offered 1 year's driving instruction from somebody in Southampton, and he declined. I'm not fussed. He sold the car, took the money down to Pompey, and maybe bought a little house or something down there, and sort of drifted in that scenario. And I think he possibly left the following season. And he went Pompey way again, which slightly more acceptable because he was a Cosham lad, which is a local, near Pompey. So he was embraced slightly, not as much as Paul Gilchrist, but he went down there and he just sort of drifted and faded out of the game, which was a tragedy, because he should have come on from that point, having scored that. But he didn't move on from there, which was sad.
Ran his calf, didn't he?
Ran his little calf, and that's Stokesy. You know, I've seen some pictures of him there with his little pinny on, making the teas, big smile, always a big smile, always something to say, always polite. And then unfortunately, a few years later, he sort of passed away, which was heartbreaking for everybody,
Everyone who analysed the game at the time was talking about this fantastic Man United side and all these great stars. But the more you look at your side, the more you realise that there were some absolute pearls in there, and one in particular is the one and only Mick Channon.
Correct, start to finish, and what you just said. There were loads of stars in our side, and I'd wished we'd been in the First Division at the time, because I think we had a side capable of coping with the First Division. Channon in particular is a whirlwind. He's a fabulous player, direct, which I like as a striker, because if I'm a defender defending against somebody like that, it's awesome.
Well, even in training ground sort of scenarios you'd had been up against him, what on earth was that like?
Not much fun. I'd always try and get on the opposition or on his side or whatever, or on the opposite side of the pitch to him. He's awesome. He's quick. He's direct. He scores goals. I don't think he was that good in training as scoring goals. He'd knock them over the bar. He'd knock them wide. He'd go out on a Saturday and he'd knock them in for you left, right, and centre. And he was a mainstay, as we know, of that club for years and years and years. It's you can't compare him with anybody at that football club at all.
A sort of flame that burns bright, and just the way he looks at people, the way he acts, everything about him.
He's a natural man. He's obviously now successful at horse racing and what have you, but in his playing days, he just thoroughly enjoyed the game, and you were aware of that. Even off the pitch, he was bubbly, he was part and parcel of the club and the team, all told.
And this horse racing thing, which has just sort of blossomed into extraordinary areas now, but it was always there.
Always there. I bought a pub and I had some memorabilia, some pictures, little collages and montages up on the wall. And I think one was him sweeping outside his stable where he lived with Kathy Jane, I think the name of the horse that he had. And it was apparent then, with the long sort of Beatle type haircut and the horse in the stables, there was more to this than just sort of met the eye. And over the years, he's proven everybody, as we know, correct. He has the ability to train, manage, handle horses, which is fabulous. To have two careers in one life is unbelievable.
So on that day, what did he bring to the party? What did he bring to the show?
Like Ozzy, just an air of presence. Being there was almost like good enough. To see him sat in the corner of the dressing room, whatever he was doing, made me feel ever so happy to know that he was on our side. against a good Man United side, a good Man United defence, but he was capable of doing all sorts of damage at any given point in the game. And I think he got through a couple of times, and one hit Stepney's legs, flew over or whatever. But Shannon was always in with a shout on the day. Nice to have him around, sat in a corner of our dressing room.
The end of the semi-final, you've won. You're all back in that dressing room, all down at the bath. What did he say?
It's all right getting there. Now we've got to do it. And that was as simple as that. It's all right to get there, but now we've got to go and win the game.
But every Southampton player who was there all remembers that one moment, what Mick Shannon said in that bath that day after the semi-final.
You can't believe it. The exaltation in that dressing room was unbelievable. And to say it, and you look around, you think, why did he say that? Why did he say that? But you analyse it later, when everything calms down, and it's correct.
Because you'd won nothing then, hadn't you?
It's all right getting there,
yeah.
But now we've got to go and win it. And then the realisation hits you that, hello, we've achieved something here. We've got to the final. And now the business had to be done of winning it, because all that, the 90 minutes previous, were of no use whatsoever. They don't remember losers in semi-finals or anything like that. They remember winners, and we went on to do that.
We've talked about all the other players and where they've gone, what they've done. Of course, the world knows what Mick Shannon's gone on to do. To have made such a success in a completely different career, that wouldn't surprise you of Mick Shannon, though, would it?
Not at all. His personality is profound. He knows exactly what he wants, and he will achieve it, come what may. On the park, perfect gentleman off the park. Swears a little bit, but that's okay. That's Mickey Shannon. But deep down, he's a player's player. He's a club player, and he stayed at many years at Southampton, obviously, and wandered around the country to various clubs and what have you, and came back to Southampton eventually to sort of have another little spell there. And then when he obviously went on to racing, he knew a lot about horses. He had this vision, I assume, and he went on and strove for it and achieved both professions.
Because there's the air of him being very happy-go-lucky, but wow, you've got to be steely determined underneath it to score goals and to do what he does now.
Yeah, you wouldn't be aware of it as such until something went wrong or things weren't going a particular way. And boy, would he let you know then. Certainly in the football field that I'm totally aware of. I don't know about the racing scene. I can only imagine very similar. The things were going wrong, whether it was the manager, the captain, Ozzy, the rest of the players. He would make it known this isn't the way it's to be done. And there would be a good discussion after that, and it would soon level out and off we go, but at least that was a wonderful opinion.
Hughie Fisher was the sub that day, but his part in that whole FA Cup run is absolutely crucial, isn't it?
Tantamount. First game, Aston Villa at the Dell. Dreadful day, windy, blustery, 1-0 down, 1 minute to go. I remember it as though it was yesterday. The ball just came across on the edge of the box. I can't say Hughie strode up because he's a dapper little lad. Toddled up, swung his left leg, his dodgy leg, sorry Hughie, his left leg.
That was for walking in that one?
That was, yeah, exactly. Okay. And it flew in the back of the net, which earned us a draw. We then proceeded to go up to Aston Villa and after extra time destroyed Aston Villa. Hughie I was so pleased for him to be on the bench.
Because he had an injury and obviously made way in that side for the eventual 11.
Yeah, I think he was probably injured early on in the cup run, if you like, and lost his place somewhat, and then he started to become fit, not 100%, and I suppose him and Laurie decided that best not risk him on the day because of his injury in case things happened, and there was only one substitute. So Laurie put him on the bench, and I'm pleased he went up with us to get the winner's medal because he deserved it as much as anybody because of that goal in the third round.
And where's Hughie now?
Hughie retired. He's been working in the licensed trade since he retired. I had a pub many years ago, and he was one of the guys who used to come around and say hello. And may I say, he hasn't changed from the day I met him to this present day. A wonderful, wonderful person.
Right, let's get to the big man himself, Laurie McMenemy. He had to pull the strings, bring you all together, and he really did. You know, from where you all came, he was the person behind it, guiding it all.
Yeah, very much so. A manager has a vision of a team and how he wants it to play. He disbanded the side when he first came there. They got relegated, unfortunately and tragically. But then he had to rebuild, and it was then down to the manager as to how he rebuilt it. And he plucked this one out, and he plucked that one out, and he put this one here, and he put that one there. And I can categorically say personally, as a personal opinion, that he was a fabulous man manager, because the players that we had in the side, from youth to experience to characters to quiet people, I don't think I could have managed them myself. They were a wonderful bunch of characters, and Laurie had to gel them, make them play, make them tick, spoke to the experienced players, picked their brains if you like, directed the younger players. So he had a big job to do, and he certainly did it for us.
But when you're starting to acquire all these people, you've got to be very committed, haven't you? You don't go into buying people half-heartedly, do you? Because your neck's on the line if you get it wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Fortunately for him, he didn't buy me. He got me on a free transfer, so he got a cheap one there. But thank you, Laurie, for doing what you did for me, because I'm sure the players did it for him at the end of the day. But no, he was committed. I mean, he's had a fabulous 12-year career at Southampton, which nobody can take away. Just looking at the stats, you cannot take that away from the guy.
Because it isn't only one team he built. He did it over and over again.
Yeah. And I think his little ploy was grabbing older players, along with a little bit of youth that he had at the club, to gel those into something. And it worked for him every time. Regrettably, when he moved to Sunderland, he tried the same sort of thing. And unfortunately for him, it didn't work, because if it had worked, being in his hometown of Sunderland, he would have been a hero beyond reproach. But unfortunately, sadly, it didn't work. And I was disappointed for him in that way, that it didn't work. I would have loved for it to have happened for him.
So the morning of the FA Cup final, what was he like? What was he doing? Because you must have been looking at him, trying to get your cue off him about, how you're going to prepare yourself.
We got up the following morning. It was all nice and relaxed. We had the interviews at the various hotels. And the one thing we did notice, that how nervous the Man United players were. And Laurie was with us and not settling us down, we were okay, but running us through various things. On the coach, off to the game, we happened to hit somebody who just stumbled off the curb. And the guy spun around and everybody jumped up in great concern. Got to the ground, and Laurie was there to calm everything down, got the bus driver to go back and check that this man was okay, and to reassure the players, don't worry about it, lads, it's in hand. A pacifying sort of mode, if you like, of the manager. The message came back, hey fellas, the guy's okay, don't worry about it now, let's get on with it, let's think about it, let's do it. And so there was a nice reassuring sort of touch from Laurie, where there was a little bit of, not panic, but a crisis of some sort, which could have wrecked it for us. But all these little things put together by the manager and the way he handles people was a great thing for us. Even though you possibly weren't aware of it at the time, if you sit down and think about it, then you think, although we did it on the day, he was a big part of it. He got us ready for it.
One profile we need, and that is of the captain, Peter Rodrigues. Comes to the club, what's he like? What do you make of him?
Very lucky lad in one way, but we thought Southampton were doing him a favour, but in the end it turned out he did us a favour. I mean, I think he was captain for 3 years, and he was unbelievable. He was quick, still quick. He had his football brain there. He knew the game inside out, and he led from the front, really, to be honest. And he was exceptional for us. He really was. And he wouldn't have wished for a better captain in the FA Cup final, because as I say, he led the boys. He talked to them the right way, and superb player. He really was.
Because you were quite a hard lot. I mean, you're bubbly, vivacious, big characters. How on earth does a captain get hold of that lot?
Well, that gives him the credit again. I mean, because let's be fair, we were Herberts, weren't we? Let's be fair. Me, Steely and Shannon and people like that. I mean, Mel Blythe wasn't the best to talk to either, but Pedro handled it, took it on board, and was fantastic, you know, and he really was. And as I say, he led from the front. He was superb, and he did his own job as well. He didn't just ever got other people and say, well, you've got to do your job. We know, we looked at him, and he was setting by example, doing his job. And I think that's where he got the respect from the players, because he could do his job as well, not just talk about it, he could do it. And a very fit guy, very fit, I say very quick, and you know, and could put his stick in, either put his foot in and give a little bit of stick about. And always encouraged. Did it the right way, you know. That's the main thing about Pedro, as we call him. He never really, you know, had a go at you big time, but he encouraged you. And when somebody encourages you, come on, mate, you made a mistake. Come on, let's put this right, boom, and you try and put it right the next time instead of saying, well, what's he on about? And your head goes down. But good captain.
Because he personally would have had one of the big battles, one of the big matchups in that FA Cup final.
Well, I always say, Andy, that you know, the back five were the hub of our team. They really were. You know, we had Ian Turner in goal, we had Rodrigues, we had Mel Blythe, Steely and Peachy. And I thought they won the game for us because they had some good guys up front. You know, Gordon Hill, Steve Coppell, I think, was playing up there. And you know, the guys like this, and you know, they had to do the job and then give us the chance to go and play and go and win the game. And that's what they did. You know, fantastic job.
Right, this is the part where we pick an all-time Southampton team. Easy? Don't think so. But the people who are going to help me here are Nick Holmes, Peter Osgood, Peter Rodrigues. Gentlemen, we start with the goalkeeper. Let's have your opinions. Nick?
Probably all agreed with Mr. Shilton.
Anyone disagree with that?
No, not at all.
No, pretty good.
He was that special, yeah?
Strong candidate, good professional, trained well, trained hard, and a good shot stopper.
Over 100 caps for England. Yeah. Let's be fair. Great guy, smashing, great keeper.
Well, we started off brilliantly. There you go. Peter Shilton is our goalkeeper. Fullbacks. Now, Peter, you can have a selection, but you can't vote for yourself. So what are you going to do?
Even if I had a choice of voting for myself, I'd still go for Ivan Golak. I think he's one of the best fullbacks I've seen down there.
What do you boys think about that?
Yeah, good player. Yes.
We got a few to choose from, to be fair. But
it's very hard. I think in all fairness, you could pick 3 or 4 teams, couldn't you?
Yeah.
You could. I mean, there were some excellent players there.
Yeah.
You're dead right, but that is the cop-out. So who are you going to go for?
No, I know it is a cop-out. Not really. No, it's not a cop-out. No, I'm going to go for the governor, Peter Rodrigues. I thought he was a great captain when he came down. It was one of the best sort of periods of Southampton Football Club. You know, we went up to the First Division. You know, and he captained us to the FA Cup final. And I thought he was an excellent player. And I thought he led from the front. As I said before, you know, he looked after players, and you know, he never really gave them a lot of stick, but he talked them through it. And I thought, not because he's here, I think he was an excellent fullback.
Is Ozzy making sense here, Nick? You got
well,
other
he
ideas?
makes a lot of sense, but I've got to
not
admit,
on this occasion.
I've gone for probably a lad who was my best mate at the time, Stevie Mills, who sadly passed away now, but he had a tragic car accident when he just made his debut for England under 23s, and he had a great future in the game. And I just fancy if he hadn't have had that accident, he would have played many, many times for his country.
Now, 3 separate ideas there. Any common ground? Anyone going to move?
I came in to sort of replace Steve Mills, if you like,
Yeah.
and I will respect what Nick says about the guy, because I didn't know the guy and I didn't know how good a player he was, but I knew as soon as he was fit, he was in the side. So I'm happy to edge for Steve.
I mean, there's a Mick Mills there. I mean, an England player, Mick Mills, and none
we
of you
haven't
gone
picked
for
him. All right, we've got Rodrigues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Steve Mills.
I mean,
you
but-
pick your own side, Andy.
Oh,
Right,
well, well,
I'm just saying. No, I agree what Nick's saying. Honestly, Andy, I think Steve Mills would have been an excellent player, but we never saw enough of him to give him, you know, to see how good he was going to be. He was a fantastic lad. He was lovely. He was smashing. He was a typical Southampton boy, wasn't he? Let's be fair.
Oh, he was.
You know,
He
and
was
I agree what
through
Nick's
and through,
saying, but I just think that this guy's done it. He played for his country, you know, and he was top notch. He was a great captain. Led us to the cup final. One of the greatest things that Southampton's ever done, and I think that it's Peter Rodrigues, without what Nick and him says.
So you're bossy, but I'm the chairman, and actually, to be fair, and it's not only because you're here,
Yeah.
you're in the team, mate.
Thank you,
Congratulations.
that'll do.
Nice one, Peter. Right, centre-backs. Let's start with, well, far away.
I've got Chris Nichol and Jim Steele as centre-backs.
Wow, yeah.
I got Mark Wright and Mr. What's his name?
Lundekvar.
Lundekvar, yes. I think he's an excellent player. I thought Mark Wright was an excellent player, so there we my two. Yeah.
Mark Wright, Dave Watson. Slightly opposites in the way they played. Dave very rugged and winner of the ball, and Mark could sort of play and come forward with the ball like a Beckenbauer-ish sort of type player. So you need the opposites in a central position.
Okay, we've got Mark Wright then. That's agreed already. So we've got a bit of a split on the other one. Steele, Watson, Lundekvar. Different kinds of players, aren't they?
I could put Steele with Mark Wright, I suppose. I could put Steele with Mark Wright, but Lundesfarne would be a similar player to Mark Wright, in that sort of
Jim
position.
balances him up a bit, doesn't he?
I think so, yeah, left peg, playing on the left hand side. I go along with that. I think Steely was an excellent player, there's no doubt about it. When he put his mind to it, he was a hard man, wasn't he? Could play football, could pass it, could tackle. Yeah, I go along with Steely.
Centre-back partnership is there then, Mark Wright and Jim Steele. One more full-back to come. What do you start, Peter?
Not because he was in the cup final team, but I've looked at these players. There's some I don't know, in all fairness. There's a lot I do know, and I feel Dave Peach is a strong candidate for it personally, with his ability, his scoring ability, his left peg. I think he's a reasonable choice.
Oz?
Yeah, I've gone for the same, David Peach. I thought Peachy, I always say the back five won the FA Cup for us in '76, and I think Peachy was a big part in that. He marked Stevie Coppell, was it? Nick? Was Stevie Coppell right? Yeah. And I thought he did an excellent job, so I'd go along with Pedro and say David Peach.
Nick?
I've gone for Mark Bennis because I think he was probably the best left back that never got capped for England.
A lunatic.
He was a lunatic.
Lovely fella, but he's a lunatic.
A bit like yourself, Nick.
Oh, but a lunatic with Southampton, or had he got rid of that? Perhaps in his
Mark
prior
was,
days?
I agree with what he's saying. Mark was a terrific player, but you never knew week in, week out what he was going to be like. I mean, on his day, he was superb, as Nick's saying. He was a great player. But Peachy was so consistent, and I think I'll just give Peachy the edge.
Lads, there is Wayne Bridge on that list.
He's not done enough for me at Southampton to sort of prove he's in the greatest team of all time, in our opinion.
You're hard, you boys.
No,
I mean, think of the pace of that lad.
Yeah, I think you're saying that, but I think at the moment Graham Lasso is probably playing better than Wayne at the moment, and I think Wayne's still got to find his feet at Chelsea. So, great player, and he's going to be a great player. There's no doubt about it. Great prospect, but I would say David Peach at our time was the best player.
Well, David Peach gets it then. 2 votes there. Well, the midfield list is a bit frightening, considering there's only going to be one name coming out of this lot. Payne, Shannon, Gilchrist, Baker, Lawrence, Maddison, Le Tissier, Fernandes. Right, lads, if we get this done in the next 5 minutes, we'll be lucky. What are you going to go for, Nick?
On the right side, I've got Terry Payne.
Right.
I've cheated a little bit because I've swapped them around. I think you've got so many good players on the right-hand side.
Are you making up the rules again, Oz?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I just think that I want to name my best Southampton side ever, and I think it's fair to do that. You would understand that, and supporting Arsenal. But on the wide right side, I would put Matt Le Tissier. I think he's been a great stalwart for the club. Scored many goals. Yeah. Great lad, and very, very loyal. Played for the club for 16, 17 years, and still about. Fantastic player, and I'll go for Matty.
Okay.
I think Nick's from the old school. Terry Payne, obviously been a great servant for the club, as has Le Tissier. And I'll slot him with another stalwart, Mick Shannon.
You see, I mean, they've missed out. So if you want Le Tissier and
Yes.
Payne in your side?
No, I want Matt Le Tissier and Shannon.
Yeah, right.
I want Payne and Shannon.
It's going to be hard.
Well, I mean, I think it was said that you pick your best sort of 4-4-2. I think that's what we went for. I don't know.
Fine. Okay.
And we got Matt Le Tissier, So I've got Matt Le Tissier on the right hand side.
Well, we better work out the other side then. Is there anyone going to go and contradict out of the group we got down there? I mean, there's the Wallace brothers there.
No, we got Shannon. I've got Shannon in midfield with Alan Ball, if you want to go for it, and Nick Holmes. So it's in different positions. We've done a 4-4-2 system, I think. Is that right?
Done a 4-4-2, but it's...
You boys are ganging up there, aren't you?
No.
So what's your 4 right across the midfield?
The way they're lined up in the sections, and you've got a lot of good players in one section who you'd maybe like to move to another section, which...
We were allowed to do that?
Creative management here.
Creative
which
management.
Is what
I'll go for Shannon.
about.
I'll go for Shannon, Ball, Armstrong, Holmes.
Easiest way to do it. What are you going to go for, Ozzy?
I've gone for Matt Le Tissier, wide right. I've gone for Mickey Shannon, Alan Ball, and I've gone for Nick Holmes.
A lot of agreement there. What about you, Nick?
I've gone for Payne, Williams, Ball and Keegan.
In midfield, Keegan in midfield.
Yes.
What do you think about that, boys?
I think
Nick, you better look for a new job, mate, I tell you.
Thanks, Oz.
Seriously, no.
I think Nick Keegan needs to play off my main striker, which is
Yeah,
Peter Osgood. I think that's a nice little combination for me up front. You know, you look at your Shearers and all these people. There's a lot of quick people in there. We need somebody as slow as Ozzy to sort of stand up there and
Thanks, mate.
to collect all the balls and then flick them off and do the business for the Keegans who will nip through. But
I've gone for Shearer and Keegan up front. I think that would be an awesome side. Rod Reed's right. Linda Varney, Peach, Letizia, Shannon, Bull, Holmes, Shearer and Keegan. I think that would be awesome.
What about your front two?
Shannon and Osgood.
Right, you're not making this easy, boys. So we need to get a bit of common ground here. Is there one striker we can all agree on?
Shearer.
Not there yet.
Keegan, I think, plays off a lot of people, doesn't he? He's
Yeah, right.
a
Well,
very
you got-
quick, and I
right,
think
right.
it's...
We got Keegan then, yes?
Yeah.
We've got
I'll
two
play-
for Keegan.
I wouldn't play him out there. I
You wouldn't
wouldn't
play him
be here
wide,
with them
no.
two.
Okay. Keegan.
So you still want him? You still want him in midfield?
I just need him in myself.
In the hole, you just need him.
I'd have him in there.
You're going to play 12 in a minute, aren't you? I know that.
Might give me a chance.
Well, we've gone through that, Stiggs. What do you think?
Keegan and Shearer, for me. Absolutely. But then that still, it still doesn't. I mean, we all agree Keegan's getting in this side, aren't we?
Well, when
so we
you,
can
when
put
you
his
look,
name
when
down.
you look at the games he's played and his goal ratio, it's 1.4 or something like that. It's incredible. I think he's played 80 games and scored 42 goals. I think that tells its own story. And obviously Shearer for me was awesome, but the lads can go on from there. I think Keegan's got to be.
Keegan's got to be up
So
front.
we've got
Yeah,
Keegan, but
yeah,
are we
stats.
going to have Nick? You're going to.
Well, we never saw. I didn't think we ever saw Alan at his best. I mean, he was never. As soon as he got half good, he went off to Blackburn, didn't he?
That's right.
We can see what he's done now over the years.
I mean,
you know.
Yeah,
he's
sure.
excellent.
For Southampton,
But as
he won.
far as
All right,
Southampton
yeah,
went,
Fair play.
Shannon,
Yeah.
Osgood and Keegan are top players. Payne, I mean, they're all quality players for us.
Fair play, but I'll go along with that. Yeah, yes, I'll see what he's saying. Yeah, see where you're coming from, mate.
Thank
He is a good manager.
He is. He knows what he's talking about.
No,
But
fair play. That's a good
are we
point.
going
It's
to
a
stick
good point.
Keegan
First
up
team he's
front?
picked in 2 years.
Might win this game.
No, that's a good point.
With a
good
team like
point.
that, you should.
Yeah, good point.
Fair
Good-
point, actually. But what about Keegan? Are you going to put him up? We're going to agree he's up front because we can't even get that right. At the
I think he
moment.
should be up front. I think he's one of
Up
the few
front,
world-class
Ozzy up
players.
front. You just want him regardless, but
Well, then you'd have Mickey Shannon in midfield, wouldn't you? So I'm happy with that.
right. Well, at last we've got Keegan up front. That's one of our boys.
Yeah.
Shannon White on the right is one of his favourite positions, I would have thought. Striking down, supporting the front two. If you're playing a 4-4-2, you've got to have the two wide men in midfield pushing forward, and Nick's got had all the stamina in the world, and he'd be up and down there like a workhorse.
Pedro, he never did anything in his life disciplined. He went where he wanted to go.
But you told me to say that
I
one.
know, I'm not just saying. Shannon, where he wanted to go, and he was the top man. So I'll have him in my team anywhere he wants
Anywhere
to
you
go.
like,
He can play goalkeeper, back four, or whatever. Shannon's got to be on my side. I'm sorry.
We all agree we want Shannon. We're just going to
Oh
have to fit
God,
it in.
Yeah.
we can't lose
Okay,
it without
right.
Shannon.
Right, a quick review of what we've got so far. So we've sorted the back five out. We know that. We're definitely having Keegan up front.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'd go along. Yeah.
Right, Shannon, which wings are you going to play on?
White on the right. I think if we're trying to be managers here, trying to select a side, you have to try and get the balance right, which managers do. And I feel with that combination of Shannon on the right, he goes where he wants, basically. He plays where he wants, but basically he's down the right-hand side. And that's a good balance.
Yeah.
You know,
Go along with that, mate.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right,
Happy
okay,
with
look,
that. Yeah.
Shannon,
Very
excellent.
happy. Yeah.
Wide right. Wide left.
Holmes, without a doubt. Without a
Yeah.
doubt.
Gone for Holmesy. Yeah. Great play.
I think they're just being very kind.
do his
to me.
doing his work. No, you're
When
a
you've
good
got people like the Tizier that might not be in the side, I mean that's.
It's all about balance, though,
That's
Nick, and that's what we're looking at. That's what we're looking at.
Balance
Balance.
the side,
We're looking at
yeah.
the balanced side. And that's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
wins games.
Yeah, but
You're supposed to be a manager. Listen
you
to
know,
this.
good players can play anywhere.
Well, I don't think Tiz would play on the left-hand side. He'd probably go and sit in the dugout and say, "Hang on a minute, I'm not used to playing here." So you're playing there, mate. All right, okay. Do as you're told.
Keep working
Okay.
the same way.
Yeah.
They want you in it. You honoured.
They're very kind.
Or have you
yeah.
paid them lots of money?
They know I wouldn't do that.
Both. We've been very kind and lots of money, but he's a good player.
A very
And
honest
he
player.
should be
Very
there.
honest player.
He should be
Absolutely. Yeah. Go along with that.
Right, okay. So wide left we have Nick Holmes. He's there. Before we get to the two central midfield. Let's just check. We need one more striker. It's got Keegan. You want...
I like Ozzy, again, with the balance of the side, you know, and okay, Ozzy came down here later on in life as I did, you know. Him in his prime, you would have in any side, irrelevant. We're now choosing a Southampton side, and with the balance,
Sure.
with Keegan slightly more mobile, Ozzy there to bring the ball down, flick the balls on, and do all the little jugglery that he does superbly well, even later on in life. I would go for that combination, personally.
What do you, Nick?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, if Ozzy had been here as a kid or whatever and come up through the ranks, he did that at Chelsea and he was loved by everyone. He would have been loved the same as Latiz is down here now, and definitely he would be the top man up there.
With the greatest... Have we got enough pace up front?
I'll go along with that.
Why is that, Ozzy?
You don't need pace. Didn't need pace, mate. You just need craft, and that's what pace in them days wasn't all about that. You've got to have good footballers, good players who can pass the ball and can make runs. And Keegan made the runs, so I'd have made the passes for him, and these boys would have given me the ball to play for him. So I'd go along with that. I really would.
But to be fair, you know, we have got modern players here, and if you're going to try and drag this team, if it was, you know, conditioned as a new team would be, pace is all at the moment. There isn't a side that's up there.
I would take what we've chosen so far with pace, guile, ability, intelligence, all the rest of the things you'd like to put into a football team, and so far, in my humble opinion, so good. I'll be happy with that.
You've done a great job, boys, because you're all in the team. Nice one, then.
First of all, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You're saying that, Andy. You're saying about pace and that. Did Zola have a lot of pace?
No, but others around him did.
No, hang on. I'm just saying. So he was voted nearly the best Chelsea player apart from me. But, I mean, he was a great player and he didn't have that pace. He had skill and ability, and that's what it's all about.
But his skill was delivered to people who could run onto a ball, who could do that, who could pull a defence away and give Zola and give an Osgood and a Keegan more chances to play.
That's why Ozzy's there, because Keegan will do that for him. And he has enough ability in his brain without his feet to produce that for Keegan.
Just go and pick your own Arsenal side. Just shut up, go on.
Let me
Get on
tell
with
you, we talked about Shearer earlier. That I worked with Alan when he was a young kid up there. Alan is not the quickest in this world.
Fair point.
He is in fact, at the Dell, he was probably one of the slowest. And one thing you won't get as you get older is any quicker. But look what he's done.
Great goal scorer. Yeah.
Did you, when you saw him as a kid, did you think, wow, that
I
kid's
had him
going
in the
to...
reserve side up there for a season, and he was class. But the one thing he didn't have was pace and a left foot. But look where he's gone.
Did you know he was going to be good then?
Oh yeah, yeah, because he had desire.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, now you've got to win the ball for all these stars to go and do the business. So, who is going to go and grab it, get the initiative in midfield?
You don't necessarily need somebody to go and win it for you. You have enough people in there to sort of nip and tuck. There's enough defenders, and the shape will change throughout the game. So I would go for right side of inside Shannon. That is Alan Ball, who is, in my opinion, a superb footballer. When things were going wrong for the side, he would always be there to help you out. He'd always want the ball delivered to him. He'd make a few more mistakes than anybody else because he put himself in a position to want that ball. And once he got that ball, and I would love to have played one more season with Alan Ball. I really would have loved to have played one more season with Alan Ball as a player, because I really would have enjoyed it. So I think him, with the ability that he has and still has at that time, my man.
Bally get into your teams, boys?
Definitely.
Yours, and
Yeah, he was the best one-touch player I ever saw. One touch. He'd play the ball till you get it back and knock it, and he made space for himself, and he scored goals from midfield as well.
Yeah.
Excellent player, always helping people, good talker. Yeah, Bally is
the
top
ball
man.
away.
Yeah.
because he was a little general on the field, wasn't
Absolutely. Yeah, top
Yeah.
man, Bally.
Because if things were going a bit wrong, or tactically you were being outdone by the other side, he was quick enough to pull people around. And
But
get
he was
it
also
sorted.
good for the young lads as well. Nick Italia. He was always good with Stevie Williams and Nick and
He
people
was-
like that. And
He was so enthusiastic.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
some mornings you might come in training or whatever, and you think, oh God, and he was there making sure that you were. He was always at you all the time.
great professional, terrific,
Superb.
top man.
for us.
Good motivator.
Job done with
Loved
that,
his
Alan
fun,
Ball.
Yeah.
Right, one more place to go.
Oh, I'm lost here now.
Right, table it.
I would go for David Armstrong in the setup that you have in the side. I mean, like Nick Holmes, David Armstrong on that side of the park, like Bridge and Ashley Cole at the moment playing for England. They can alternate. So you have if Nick goes forward, Armstrong can slot in. Nick could come back and slot inside Armstrong, and you still have that balance of those two people coming forward, both with good left pegs, work rate good, excellent, but just to balance it out as I see it. So I would go for Armstrong personally.
Ozzy?
I'd go for Jimmy Case. I thought Jimmy was a ball winner. He'd probably sit in there for ball in, say go and play, go and help these forwards up front, and pass the ball for them, win the ball for them, and great professional, terrific lad, and I just think I'd give it to Jimmy.
He could score a few goals, couldn't he?
Yes,
really
he scored
rip it,
great goals, and I say his attitude was fantastic. He's a typical Scouser, he's a funny lad, he's great, but when he went on the pitch he was superb, and with that sort of side around him, I think he could have excelled really big time.
Nick, what about your thoughts?
I went for Stevie Williams. He was another winner. He certainly didn't like losing, and he had that ability as a midfield player to run at people and beat them. And he was a great gel with Bawley in there, and I think they would work really well together.
Does anyone want to go along with that?
I would have put Case on the right-hand side if I'd have chosen another team, because Jimmy, like Ozzy said, it was a superb player and all the rest of it. And I would tend to edge with Nick on Williams, because I think that was a good combination at the time, and it was proven. So I would just edge with Nick on that one, although I'd have Case in the side if Shannon, Letizia, Payne, they all weren't there. I would put Casey on the right-hand side, but not now because of so many good players there. So I would edge for Stevie Williams.
Was he going to give in gracefully and put Stevie Williams on your
I'll
side?
let him go along with that, but I still think Jimmy Case was a better player than Stevie Williams. I really do. I think he had more about him. He put his foot in. He wasn't as silly as Steve. Steve was a very hot-headed lad, great lad, smashing, come through the youth ranks, which is great to see players come through for their club. But at the end of the day, I think Jimmy Case and Bawley in midfield would have been awesome. But I'll go along with the lads if they want to say Stevie Williams, no problem at all.
Stevie Williams has it. In goal, Peter Shilton. Right back, Peter Rodrigues. Centre back, Mark Wright. Playing alongside him in the centre of defence, Jim Steele. On the left of defence, David Peach. In the centre of midfield, Alan Ball. Alongside him in the midfield, Stevie Williams. On the left-hand side, Nick Holmes. On the right side of midfield, Mickey Shannon. Up front, the strikers are Kevin Keegan and Peter Osgood. Now, some people could be buried because all that expectation that has started when you're 5 years old, and now, oh my goodness, I really am here, look around. But that's not you either, is it? You just love it, don't you?
I do. I love people. I love socialising. I love football. I love football more than anything, apart from my wife Lynn. I'm sorry, love. But no, seriously, I do. I just like enjoying myself and being part of it and having fun and winning the FA Cup final. It was fun in the end of the day, with lovely people. With little Stokesy and Mickey. Still my great mates, Mel Blythe, Steely, and we're still very friendly. It's great. They're a great bunch of lads. We had 4 or 5 years together and we did ever so well. We got Saints up to the First Division, which they've been there for the last 25 years. And we were part of it and we will never be forgotten. And that's lovely. That really is a lovely feeling.
Right, let's start just a little bit about the build-up to the Cup. So what was the week before like? Where did you go? What happened?
Well, we went to Selsdon Park. I think we stayed at Selsdon Park, yes, and over at Croydon way. And we just did the normal things, really. We trained every day. I think we played 9 holes at one day, had a little bit of golf. And then on the Thursday, I couldn't believe it, Laurie Mack said, the governor, he said, if you want to go out for a drink tonight, go and have a drink, but don't be too late. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, that's incredible. But I think Steely and Jimmy Mack went out. On one of these few days, I got to put my hands up and say I never went out. And they came back and they only had a couple of pints. But Laurie was so relaxed about it all and gave us the great preparation, if you want. And he knew what this team could do. He knew what we had to do, and he put us in the right direction all the time. And he was awesome. So
you're in the tunnel, ready to go. You're looking opposite you. You're looking at that Man United side. What did you see there?
Saw fear. And they were there. We were 6-1 underdogs. And they looked at us, and we were all happy, chirpy, laughing and joking as we are always the way. That's the way we played football. That's the way we were off the pitch. We knew we could deliver. We knew we had a good side. We had lots of experience. You know, we had Mel Blythe, Steely and Rodriguez at the back. We had myself and Shannon and Jim McCalliog. So we knew we had the experience. We had the young players to do our little bit of work for us, like Peachy, Nick Holmes, Paul Gilchrist, Luke Stokes. He was still very, very fit in them days anyway. So basically, we were very confident. We were. We never thought we were going to get beat in that game. And it wasn't a surprise when we won it, to be honest.
They really were scared.
Yes, they looked. We waved to I waved to the wife and the girlfriend in the crowd, I think, that day. I think they were both there. But it was that sort of day. We just went out there for fun. We knew we could play. We knew we could, if we played to our capabilities, and which we knew we could do. We had the right blend. Laurie had done that for us. He gave us a good team talk. Just go and play your own game. Don't worry about them. You know, go and do it. Go and enjoy it, and go and please the fans and please yourselves. That's what we did.
So it's done. You got it. It's all over. Now, do you think I've got to take this all in, or just do you?
Well, I'd been there before. I was one of the fortunate ones that had been in the 70, but we didn't win it there. We had to go to a replay with Chelsea, obviously, against Leeds, and to win it there is fantastic. And the fans were brilliant, absolutely superb. We were the underdogs, 6-1 underdogs. And when you walked up the steps, you know, that was the big moment. And you walked up there and you could pinch yourself thinking, have we really done it? But when Pedro picked the cup up and showed it to the crowd, fantastic. I always got third. I always go out third on the pitch, and I always go third at wherever any presentations which we've been on. It's very embarrassing because every time.
Why is that? Why?
I don't know, it's just a silly thing. Why? I'm not superstitious at all. I'm really not. But I just used to go out third every time, and I went up the steps third. And it's very embarrassing because, you know, every time I meet the royal family, they always give me a medal. It really is, you know. And I think it was the last time the Queen was at Wembley as well in '76. I think that's the last time she attended, and she thought, we can't watch a better team play at Wembley than this. So, but it was fantastic. I always remember Pedro lifting the cup and the crowd going berserk. And then as we walked through, I got my medal off the Queen and shook her hand. And I just
Hope you wiped it.
Oh no, you're joking. I know. It was fantastic feeling. It was a buzz, even for the Oz who'd been through a few. But as I walked down up to the end, there was a photographer there, all the cameras was there, and my dad wasn't very well at the time. And I said, "That's for you, Dad." And it's a lovely feeling.
So do you remember where you were at, where in the order when everyone was walking up? Where were you? Front, back, middle?
I really couldn't tell you. Knowing me, I was probably at the back, because if you look at all the pictures of the team when they did their lap of honour and the cup was there, you will never see me in any of them, because I was 50 yards behind, dragging my feet behind everyone, waving to every Tom, Dick and Harry in the stand, and I don't think you'll ever see me in one of those pictures.
Got to ask you, you walk up those steps and you see that thing and you're about to pick it up. You're about to shake hands with someone rather important. What's it like?
Player's dream. Even when I hadn't reached the cup final, you always look and you watch every cup final that's going, and you look and you see that player do it and you think that must be fabulous. And like you say, all of a sudden you're there.
And it's you.
And it's me. And you can't take it on board.
So you go up there and it's not anyone at the top of those steps that you're going to meet. What did you feel like?
Yeah, it was the Queen. And she was dressed in blue, which hurt me a little bit because she should have been dressed in red and white or something, shouldn't she?
You've touched on Chelsea and the difference. Obviously, that first win with Chelsea would personally been very special for you because you broke a record. You were a goal-scoring great, literally, in that cup run.
Yes, I mean it's always special when you win things in life, and you know, we won the League Cup in '64-65 season, I think it was, with Chelsea, and then we went on to win the FA Cup in '70. But to go to a replay and win it at Old Trafford was a bit disappointing, and to win it in '76 was special. To win it at Wembley with your 100,000, which is not, you know, which it went down to about 70, 78 or 80, whatever it was then in them days. But it was 100,000 crowd there, and the atmosphere was intense. It was fantastic, and we did it, and we could see these lovely people in yellow and blue shirts, which we had, you know, and those yellow and blue colours, and you could pick them out, and it was a fantastic time.
Personally, for you, you scored in every round of the FA Cup victory of Chelsea.
Yeah.
But you saying Southampton was better?
Yeah, it was, to win it at Wembley. It was, yeah, I've got to admit. You know, to score in every round, and obviously that year I went to Mexico with the world champions as well to play in the World Cup, which was a fantastic time in career. But every boy dreams of winning an FA Cup final. I mean, when you watch it as a kid at school, you watched the Wembley game and you used to go out there and play, and you were a certain player. You know, I was Jimmy Greaves or a Bobby Charlton or something like that. And I was very privileged to go and play against these players. But when you get there yourself, and then you think, wonder what these little kids are going to go. How many Pete Rodgers was going to be out there today playing football?
And I mean, you as a kid, you know, that high, you'd have been out there lifting cups up and thinking about what it'd be like.
Yeah, you always want to be a footballer at my age. When I started at 13, 14 years of age. Everybody wants to be a footballer. Mine was no exception. And I had a lot of luck going through the game, start of the game, and came on through to Southampton. That's a fabulous 17-year career, which, good times, bad times, which you can't have a perfect life. I would do exactly the same day by day for 17 years again. I was just speaking at St Mary's the other day at the supporters club, and they said, the DJ said, was that the greatest day of your life? And all the supporters were listening, and I said, collecting the cup from the Queen. I said, no, it wasn't. And they all stepped forward, and I said, collecting the cup from the Queen was fabulous. I said, but picking it up, turning it to 33,000 of you lot, and raising that cup, that was the greatest day of my life.
And what about the homecoming? I mean, you're used to being part of it, but even you, I bet, were just a bit shocked, a bit stunned by how huge it was.
Well, you know, I mean, obviously 70 to Stamford Bridge, we came down the King's Road and the Fulham's Road, and went around the Fulham Road and all that, and unbelievable crowds, unbelievable. And we won the 71 Cup Winners' Cup against Real Madrid again. But I always remember, we went to... when we won the cup, we went to the Royal Lancaster and stayed there, and then I went to Talk of the Town, and it was terrible. And my wife then rose, and I said, look, we don't like it, do we? And said, no. And we went home. We went home to Windsor, where I lived at that time. And I went down the local pub that day at 11:45, and I rang the landlord. He said, come down early, Ozzy. And I bought a dozen bottles of champagne and 2 bottles of brandy. And my mum and dad and all my friends were there. And I left there about 12:15, because I had to get down to the Dell to get on the double-decker bus, and I nearly missed it. I couldn't get near the ground. I had to park my car and run about half a mile, which is, I never used to run in my days, you know. I used to let the others do that, you know. I used to just score the goals and just lay them on for them. But it was awesome, unbelievable. I mean, they reckon there were about 200,000 people, I think, around the city. Incredible.
And you're coming down the M3, you're heading towards Southampton, and you got the biggest surprise of your lives, didn't you?
Unbelievable. We came out of the hotel and we woke up in the morning, and I realised, oh, the cup is there. So that was, we've done something. And I remember the cup sat in front of me on the little table in front. And we set off, and I could not take my eyes off this thing for about half an hour. And as we approached Eastleigh, I think, and we could see people waving across on the bridges coming down, which we thought, that's okay, that's cool, that's nice, that's friendly. And as we got closer to Southampton, round about Eastleigh, I turned to the right, and all the bunting and the flags. I'm thinking, hello. And we had a promised trip around Southampton, popped into Ford's, pay our respects. They were there, the lads were there in strength. Right, okay, we're off now. We have to tour around the city. Well, I just, fresh in the area, knew lots of the streets, various things around Southampton. And I was at the front of the bus, and I was talking to Jimmy Steele. I said, Steele, I said, where are we now? He said, oh, we're going down the Shirley High Street. And I couldn't see, with a mass of people there, exactly what street we were in.
How long did it take you to get around the city?
2 hours, 3 hours, I think, by the time we got around the city. And it wasn't a long journey, but there were 200,000 people there. And I was looking over the edge of the bus, looking at people much older than myself, 60, 70 years of age, in tears, as you held the cup there. And you look down and think, oh, we've done something special here.
Good singing voice you got, Ozzy.
Oh, well, mate, I'll tell you what, that day I'd have sung for anybody. It was superb. It was great atmosphere, great time for the fans, great time for us, and they deserved it.
Eventually got round to the town hall, up in with the Lady Mayoress at the time, and I had to go out and say hello to everybody on the balcony and one thing, and just a mass of people. Incredible.
You can sing a bit as well, you know.
I'm one of the only few Welshmen that can't sing. It might have sounded all right on the day,
It
but if
sounded all right to me.
you pick it up closely, and it's not as good as the gaffer and I think Ozzy was it on the bus. I think, I'm not sure, but you couldn't help but sing that day. You know, that everybody was singing, and it just seemed a normal thing to do. We could hear all the sirens from the ships down in the dock there, and it was unbelievable.
For you, Nick Holmes, how extraordinary was the FA Cup final? Because unlike all the others who'd been grafted in from different parts of the country, you were a local boy, literally born and bred there, and Southampton meant everything to you. So what was it like for you?
I was extremely nervous, I must admit. I've always been that way anyway. To have been of a young age, to have gone to Wembley Stadium to play in a cup final was nerve-wracking. I was very fortunate to have players such as Peter Osgood, Peter Rodrigues, Mick Shannon, all those that had tasted limelight before, knew how to handle all the things that were going on around, and they helped me get through it. As soon as a whistle goes, you're fine because you're doing something that you basically know you can do, but all that paraphernalia beforehand, oh, that was dreadful.
So they took you under their wing, didn't they?
Oh yeah, Ozzy in particular was very good. He did all my interviews for me. Yeah. He did everything for me. I think he even went to the toilet for me a couple of times.
And you're quite happy to say that, aren't you? Because by the same token, when the whistle went, you were a lion out there that day.
Yeah. I think that's just the way it is. As soon as you can get on and do the things that you know you can do, or the things you think you know you can do, you relax or whatever. But when you have to, stand up and say things to people or whatever, and I was 21, I'd never done nothing before really, and all of a sudden you're thrust into national sort of TV cameras and everything, and I thought, this isn't me. God dear, no. Let's get on the Saturday and let's play football.
So you put the shirt on. Now, for you especially, I mean, when did you first go and see a game of football at Southampton?
Oh, it was back early 60s.
How old were you?
I was 7. I went down, we were playing Stoke, and stood on the terraces. I couldn't see a damn thing, and my dad said there was nothing he could do. I mean, everyone else had little stools to stand on. He says, I'll buy you a season ticket, we'll come up regular. And we had one in the Milton Road West, and we was there till, but they kept him on once I was playing still. So, like you said before, yeah, I'm Southampton born and bred, and I was very pleased to have done what I did with them.
So in your back garden, you had dreamed about playing an FA Cup final for Southampton, I don't know, a couple of thousand times a week. And then suddenly, well, blow me.
I, along with many, many others, really, hundreds and thousands of others, dream about that as you're a kid, don't you? Kicking a ball against a brick wall, your dad's house, or going through a greenhouse pane or something, as I regularly did for him. And it was a dream come true. And the fortunate thing was, I was doing it in my team's colours.
To be the local boy with the local shirt, that does mean a lot to you.
I was just very fortunate. It's something that I'd dreamed about all my life, as hundreds of others would have done, and to have had that chance to do it for your team, the one you support, is very special.
But tell us about that beard. It was awful.
Yeah, it was. I've got to admit, it was awful. But it's like when you're young, you're superstitious for one thing, and you grew it. I don't know why I grew it to start with, but once the season started and things were going so well, I wasn't going to shave it off, and it wasn't until we won that game did I shave it off.
You must have got some stick.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I think the gaffer once tried to get me to shave it, but Oz again stuck up for me and said, "Nah, let him carry on wearing it." So yeah, I got plenty of stick.
What about the gaffer? What was he like?
Yeah, he was a special man. He was certainly different. He could go into any business around this country, and even if he didn't know anything about it, he would be able to motivate that team to get the best out of them. And that takes a special sort of person, and he did that. He realised we had to get big name players with good experience that could do the work out there, and he did that. Some of his team talks, I remember the one before the semi-final against Crystal Palace was excellent. He just went through their team, and they were a team of completely inexperienced compared to us. And he read out our team, and it was Rodrigues, 500 games, Osgood, 500 games, Shannon, 500 games. and apart from me, who'd had 40 or 50, everyone else had had hundreds. And he said, at the end of the day, we've had 5,000 appearances and they've had 500. He says, you're the experienced man, and that's what counts in these games. And it was very, very good, and that's where his strength lay.
Your abiding memory of that FA Cup day. What just sticks in your mind about it?
I think Bobby's goal. Maybe it's because I've maybe seen it so many other times than any other thing, but Bobby's goal, it was 1-0. We all love Bob as well, and I was first there to get to him, and yeah, that's what I remember, getting there to him, I think.
Now hang on, we've had 3 people in here today, and every one of them was first there to get him. So
I think you'll find that surely I'm quicker than Oz and Peter. And Peter was on the other side of the pitch. I think if you look at the camera work, I think I might have been first.
in spirit, you were all there first, weren't you?
Yeah, of course you were. Of course you were. But no, that was special. I mean, to have beaten United, the red-hot favourites on the day, and it's like it happens so often. You know, the unknown person gets the winning goal. Or it happened in those days. It happened far more, I know, and it was special for Bob.
And you're so close to your family and all the rest of it. So what was it like? You know.
Oh, it's lovely. I mean, we're not a big family, but everyone that I had was there. Even my sister, who I don't think had ever seen a football match before in her life. I mean, she was there, and it's too difficult to explain, Andy. I mean, probably Ozzy and Peter might do a better job, but I mean, it's just memories, and the memories are there, and they'll always be there.
And you've then gone into, generations of Southampton sides, because they broke down, they came back in, Laurie rebuilt all the time. I mean, he was an extraordinary act, wasn't he, in the sense that it seemed to slip away, and he created other teams out of nowhere. But you were the linchpin throughout the whole of that time.
I was the common denominator, yeah. I was very fortunate. Firstly, I was fortunate enough to be left-sided, I think, and there's always been a sad lack of left-sided people around anyway. And I was a steady player. I was never one that would have had the greatest ability, skill-wise or whatever. But basically, you did what was asked of me, and that helped.
Yeah, modest, aren't you, as well?
No, not at all.